guys, Elite here, and in this video we'll be going over the Fallen Protectors fight, the second fight in the Siege of Orgrimmar raid. Now in this fight it is a council fight. There are 3 different bosses with a number of different abilities from each one. Now for the sake of time we're going to be going over this fairly quickly because there's a long list of crap that's going to be going on, but it's a fairly easy fight once you understand how to execute each phase. Now for the first boss, Rook, he has to be tanked by one of your tanks, and you want to face him off to the side of the room somewhere, pointing away. His first ability is a frontal cone attack. Now this is a 180k hit to anybody in the cone, and it stuns all targets in the cone. Well, your tank just has to point this towards a wall and eat the hit. Make sure to blow a small cooldown before the hit goes off and you'll be fine. Next ability the boss does is Clash. Okay, remember this is Rook Stonetoe. He's going to pick a random player when he does Clash, and he's going to meet you halfway. Meaning you're going to charge him, he's going to charge you, and you're going to, well, clash. Shortly after he does Clash, he's going to cast his next ability called Corruption Kick. Now this is a spinning kick that he does, and it does 120k damage a second to anyone within his AoE. It's about 8 to 10 yards wide, I believe. Now if you're standing in this, you're not only taking the 120k damage a second, but he also applies a dot to you, and you don't want this. So what do? If you get clashed, you move away. If you're near somebody who gets clashed, you move away. You just get out of this kick. That's all he does. Now for the second boss, it is He Softfoot. This boss also has to be tanked by your other tank, and he should probably be dragged off to a wall somewhere away from the raid. However, he can stand close if your raid is aware of pools. The first ability this boss does is Garrett. Now, he targets a random player and throws a dot on them. It doesn't do intense damage, it's nothing large to worry about, it's just a minor dot really. However, he can throw it up on multiple targets, but when he enters his Desperate Measures phase, which we'll go over in a second, they all get wiped off the player, so it's no big deal. The tricky ability that this boss has is called Gouge. Now this applies to the tank that's holding him. This works just like a rogue gouge, okay? Now he does a 3-second cast, and if you're facing him when he finishes the cast, you become Gouge, which means you cannot move for 6 seconds, I believe. Not only that, you also lose all aggro on He Softfoot, meaning he's going to run rampant among your DPS. What are you going to do? You turn your back to the boss, which is He Softfoot, and when he hits you with Gouge, it will do nothing. However, by the off chance that you do get Gouge, make sure that you call out to your other tank to pick him up until your Gouge is finished and you can pull him back. However, if you're a human racial every man for himself will get you out of this. Paladins could bubble out of it. There's a number of different, well, I believe that would be about it. I guess you could throw in a PvP trinket, but that might not be the smartest thing to do. It's really easy to avoid. Just turn your back. You have 3 seconds when he casts it. If you have DBM timers, it'll remind you. Just turn your back, avoid the Gouge, and you'll be fine. He also has 2 other minor abilities. They're different poisons he puts on his weapons. The first one drops little green pools on the ground. They tick for moderate damage. They're about the size of your hitbox for your character. Just move out of them. You can actually jump over these and you won't take any damage. And the other poison he puts on his weapons just makes it so he hits harder. That's it. And it's not even a large amount. It's a minor amount. So as for the tank holding him, might have to throw him an extra heal or 2, but it's all manageable. Now for the final boss, Sun Tenderheart, she's basically a Shadow Priest. First ability she casts will be Shaw Seer. This is a Mind Seer. It puts on a random player. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to run away from the raid because it's just like a normal Shadow Priest Mind Seer. Only it's called Shaw Seer now. So it's an AoE, you move out from other people, and your raid will be happy. Second ability will be Shadow Word Bane. Now this is a dot that goes on a random player as well. It ticks for 100k damage every 3 seconds. It is dispellable. The trick to this is every time it ticks once on a player, it jumps to a new player, okay? So no player will be taking more than 100k damage every 3 seconds. Healers, just cleanse it. Unless you like having extra stuff to heal through. I mean, by all means leave it, but it's easiest if you just cleanse it right away and be done with it. Last but not least, this boss will cast an ability called Calamity. This is a 30% raid-wide AoE. Now, also when the boss casts Calamity, it wipes all Shadow Word Banes off of players, which is a little bonus. However, you just gotta make sure raids all above 70% health and, 40% health, and you'll be fine. Alright, now let's get into the Desperate Measures. When each boss hits 66 or 33% health, they enter a Desperate Measure phase. They disappear and they do a new ability. For Rook, the first boss we went over, he's going to spawn 3 different adds. Now the first add is called Misery, the second add is called Sorrow, and the final add is called Gloom. Now Misery does large melee hits, okay, so this has to be tanked right away. Actually, all of them have to be tanked, and it's easiest to just group them up and stack up and cleave them down. However, Misery's the hard hitter. Just grab him and tank and spank. The second add is Sorrow. Now he casts an ability and it goes on a random player called Inferno. It is a 1.2 million AoE hit. Now it has about an 8 to 10 yard wide ring around the player, and the damage is actually split among all targets within that ring. This is why you stack up. You need your entire raid to stack up in this ring to help split that 1.2 million hit. It is soakable with about 3 or 4 people, but that's really pushing it. If you just have everyone stack up, all 10 people, it's way more manageable than if 3 or 4 would. And last but not least is Gloom. He just fires bolts. I don't know if it's on tanks or if it's on random players. Either or, the damage is rather weak, and it's nothing to worry about whatsoever. Just stack them with the others and cleave them down. He's last on your list. Now, as for He Sawfoot, when he enters his Desperate Measures phase, once again it comes at 66 and 33% health. He's gonna spawn one ad called Embodied Anguish, and it's gonna put a debuff on a random party raid member called Mark of Anguish. Now this debuff makes it so you cannot move and you get ticking damage on you. Now every time this damage ticks, it'll do more for the next tick, and it's stronger and stronger. I believe you also get stacks, and you should probably pass this off to a new player at about 5 stacks, I believe. I think you can push to 7 without using cooldowns, but I wouldn't go over 5 before you throw it to a new player. Now, how do you give it to a new player? Well, you get an extra action button on your screen, and you target the player you want, and you hit the button, and it throws it to them. You become free, they become immobilized, and that's that. Now, you're not supposed to give this to a tank, but it's probably easiest if you give it to a tank, simply because they have lots of damage mitigating cooldowns, so they can soak the dot, whereas you don't have to hit up multiple people with it. The only downside to that is that when the ad dies, the tank with the debuff, the Mark of Anguish, does get a 50% reduced armor debuff. It'd probably be smartest to throw this on your tank who's tanking He Sawfoot, simply because he doesn't hit as hard as Rook. However, either or should be fine. I mean, the 50% reduced armor sounds bad, but it's really not all that bad. Last but not least is Sun Tenderheart. Now when she hits 66 or 33%, she's going to spawn a bubble. Now everyone has to stack in it. If you're not within the bubble, there's raid-wide damage, and you'll probably die. Now, once you're in the bubble, she's going to spawn a number of different adds. Some can be tanked, some are casters that will stay outside the bubble. The ones that have to be tanked, well, tanks will grab them, hold them in the bubble, and melee will cleave them down. After that, the range will take care of the rest, and once they're all dead, the bubble disappears, you go back to the normal phase, and rinse and repeat. Long story short, you take Rook to 66, He to 66, Sun to 66, then back to Rook to 33, He to 33, and Sun to 33. Afterwards, you have to kill all at the same time, within 10 seconds of each other. And that's it for the Fallen Protectors, guys. If you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment below if you think I missed something or could have mentioned something, any tips, tricks as to how to do this fight better, and thanks for watching.